What's up guys, it's Missy. I'm back with another SimCity Buildit video. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of really popular technical difficulties that you may be experiencing with the game. Such as, why can't you join a group? Why do your epics not pop up? Why are you playing this game when it is clearly pissing you off? You know, that kind of stuff. Why you can't log into Facebook, how to sync your friends list, stuff like that. So, for those of you who... Damn it. My hood's not shut. I just realized that. That's not good. You're like, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? No, but seriously, what the hell? Okay, I'll fix that in a minute. Alright, anyways. Okay, so, you have gotten to the point where you have this little setting symbol on the right hand corner, okay? Now, what should happen here is you should have two login buttons. Now, whether you're using Apple or whether you're using Android will depend on what you have on the left hand side. It'll say log into Google Play, log into whatever it says for Apple. I can't remember because my iPad's been broken for such a long time. And then you have the Facebook one on the right hand side. Okay, if you do not see either of these options, you are you're about to be really mad, okay? Here's the thing, and they don't tell you this right away, and there's no way to fix this, but what happens is when you first start your game, and this is why I always tell people to swing that H bar up, you know, when you first install the game, a little annoying Speebada lady, whatever her name is, can't remember, do-wazoo talking motherfucker, pops up and says, hey Sim, how old are you? Hey Mayor, how old are you? And you being impatient, you clicked next without sliding that H bar up. You just, maybe you left it at 0 or you left it below a certain number, which to my knowledge, I believe is 11, but I always swing it past 18 just to be sure. And what'll happen here is now the whole city is garbage. Okay? Really. It is. Because there's no way to have that age restriction go up. You can contact EA, but they're going to tell you the same thing that I'm telling you. They're going to say, sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. Now, the reason this is so frustrating is because a lot of people don't realize that it's an issue until they get to level 18 and they can't join a group. And that is the next thing that is very problematic. So now you have a city where you can't join a club and you can't save your progress. So it's pretty much garbage to you. So anybody here who is experiencing this, I really hope you didn't get too far into the game. You need to restart and bring that H bar up, and then when you get, the best way to know if you completely screwed yourself, honestly, is to click this settings button in the top right corner, which they used to make you have to go through the full tutorial before it would pop up. Now it pops up much sooner. Click on that settings button. If you do not have the login buttons, you did not put that H bar up high enough. That's the only time I've ever seen that happen. If that particular situation is occurring, let's say you know for a fact, like without a doubt, you just installed the game, you just put the H bar up, I've never heard of this happening, then you would be a first. Tell me in the comments section so that I can see what else might be going on with your game. But for the most part, that's what you're looking at. You have to restart. Now, the next popular technical difficulty here is how to connect your save data in the first place. This is how. So here's how this works, okay? The way that it works when you have a phone is you have a application installed on your phone, correct? Like Facebook or whatever the game uses. Mind you, I think they should have given us some kind of an EA account profile that we can use to save our cities and progress and things like that, but they haven't done that. And what makes it super frustrating is once you've saved a particular city to an account, there's no way to override that save data to a new city. For instance, if you have linked a Facebook to one city, you cannot link a new city to that Facebook, and you cannot overwrite that save data to that Facebook. So whatever city you've used to that Facebook, it's stuck with that Facebook. So let's say that you screwed up, you want to restart. Now you have to make a whole new Facebook just for that city because you've already used your primary. Okay, so how does this work on your phone though, if you want to stay logged into your main profile? Well, here's how, it's a little tricky, but here's what you do. You're going to make 2 Facebooks, okay? And on the application itself, once you've logged into both Facebooks, you will see a profile picture on the top right corner of your screen that will allow you to bounce between 2 Facebooks or multiple accounts. When you open your game, try to make sure that you're logged in to whatever Facebook goes for that game account. But what normally happens here is at some point in time, the game will save and it'll sync to that data. And what'll happen is when you open the game and you're logged into another Facebook, if that's at the point in time it's synced, it will pop up and it will give you that notification that says keep playing locally or load from server. Now, when you load from server, you want to look at the time, the population, and the city. If it's the same city, but it's asking you that, it's basically saying, do you want to go from a previous save or do you want to go to your most current save? That's what it's asking you. Sometimes if your phone is too full on memory, it will give you this notification as well because it can't save to your device. So it's basically loading from the server constantly. And you'll start getting that notification a lot. So make sure you have space on your phone. Make sure that you're logged into your Facebook. Now, what's going to happen is, like, let's say that because my city's connected to my main Facebook here, but this particular city is also connected to other things. I have this city saved in multiple places, just in case. This allows it to, basically what I can do if I want is I can log into Google Play and continue saving to my Google account, or I can log in to Facebook. You can be logged in to 2 different things at the same time. For instance, if I hit login with Google Play, there it is. It's just Google Play. See, it's not prompting me with a new city. Now, let's say that I wanted to load a new city or an old city on a Google Play account. Like, let's say I have 2 Google accounts, but I wanted to load a different city. What I would need to do, unless I got that notification to pop up, is I would need to wipe the app, wait for the settings button to pop up, then you'll click login with Google Play and it will show you accounts. It'll say, whatever accounts you have logged in on your phone, it'll show you the emails for each one of those, and based on which one you click will determine what city you load. But let's say you don't have a city to that. Let's say here's what a lot of people do. Big mistake, okay, pay attention. What a lot of people do is they make a new Google account, okay? So let's say you've loaded your city, you're on your main page here. They make a new Google account and they hit log in with Google, right? And they log into this primary account and it saves this city again to that new account. When what they should have done was wipe the app after making the Google account, started from base level, went through the tutorial, then hit the settings button, okay? Then they would be able to log into the new Google account and save that new city under a new account. Or the same thing with Facebook, okay? So whatever Facebook that you're logged into primarily is what the game is going to go towards. So for instance, I can bounce between Facebooks and it's not going to mess with my game. If I wanted to go and switch Facebooks right now, I could go switch Facebooks and I could come back to my game and it's going to be the same damn thing. But if I come over here and I hit log out of Facebook and log back in, it's going to kind of tweak with things and it's going to see that I'm not logged into that same Facebook as a primary, and it's going to bring me up a notification, okay? That's what it should do anyway. Now, how to sync your friends list. Maybe you've added somebody recently, maybe you've removed somebody recently, and you want to know why they're not appearing on your friends list. Like I just said, the way that this autosave feature is it's not an immediate thing, okay? Not to the server. What it does is it saves immediately to the device, and then it uploads to the server, okay? So it has certain save points. How frequently that is, to be honest with you, I don't know. I do know that when I was messing with my phone and things, it was a pain in the butt, and it wasn't as frequently as you think it is. Well, anyways, once you do this, you'll go to Facebook. So let's say you've added or removed somebody. Go on Facebook, make sure everything's all squared away, you're logged into the right account, okay? Open your game up. Come on here, click settings. Hit log out of Facebook like this, okay? Now you're logged out of Facebook. Now you're just saving locally or to Google Play or Apple or whatever. Or whatever else you're logged into. If you're logged out, you're logged out. You can also, you're saving to the server as well. Now you hit log in with Facebook, right? And this is kind of what it does. Now, because it was on my primary account, that's what it does, and it should sync my friends list to be to the most current. So anybody that I've removed off my friends list should no longer be here. Some people, it doesn't sync right away. You know, it just depends. The game is really finicky that way. But that's how it's supposed to work. So if you don't see them still, give it a few minutes, have them do the same thing, and then just keep trying, okay? It usually will work within about 24 hours of the time that you add the person. Now, the next thing here is why you don't have epic projects. Now, I don't want to get too much into this because this is kind of a complex issue. I do have videos on this, so be sure to check this out, okay? Well, if you go to my channel and you just click technical difficulties playlist, you'll see it in there. But try storing the Santa shop, try moving buildings around. You want to get those notifications, click on the city journal page, make sure that you have specialization coverage, fully upgraded regular residential, all that stuff. Okay, make sure all that stuff is squared away. But there's a lot of things you can try, and it gets really complex. So make sure you watch those videos and check that out. Okay. Now, one of the another popular things that a lot of people have difficulties with is figuring out why their game crashes, doesn't load. Maybe it doesn't allow them to type in a certain area or whatever. That has to do with the device that you're on. Okay, now SimCity's going to tell you that it has to do with the phone. Okay, but it's kind of both. It's like half SimCity and half the device. So here's a really weird experience that I've had over the 6 years that I've been playing this game. I have played this game on several devices. iPads, Androids, Kindles, computers. I mean, you name it, I've done it. Okay? Now, Stylo 3 was my primary phone when I started playing the game. Now, at that time, my city was zoomed in about this far, as a standard, you know? And it kind of drove me crazy because I always wanted to zoom out so that I could design better. But that feature was never available on that device. Now, other people, I would see their phones and stuff, and their phones would let them zoom out further. And so I thought, well, that's fucked up. Why the hell does mine do that? And I thought it was a game issue. You know, maybe there's a setting somewhere in the game. Or the phone, you know, change the resolution and whatnot. At that time, I did not see any option for that device to do that. So, because the device was so old, I decided to go out and buy a new phone. So I bought a Stylo 4, okay? Now this thing had a badass screen, let me tell you. Like, the picture was gorgeous compared to what I was normally, you know, used to. And it had excellent specifications for as far as like RAM and space, and it was just all around a badass phone. Well, you know as well as I do that when you buy a phone, you leave the store, you install all your stuff, and you go about your day. Well, it wasn't like that. I installed the game, and it looked great, and it played through the tutorial, and everything was fine. And then it crashed. The moment that I had closed the game, from beyond the tutorial screen, the game would crash. All the way up to the loading point. It would load and load and load, and then it would blink and do this really weird, it almost had like a black square in the background, blink and then shut off. And I'm like, well, what the hell? You know, and I'm thinking, well, how can it be the phone? The phone's brand new, right? And so after dealing with EA and after going to the phone store and everything, we could not figure it out. But what was so bizarre was every time I was at home is when it wouldn't work. But every time I was out and about, it would work. So I'm like, well, that can't be right, because I'm not even using like a Wi-Fi or anything. Like, what would Wi-Fi have anything to do with the game blinking and not loading? You know, it was the most bizarre thing, because even if you turned off the mobile data, it would do it only when I was at home. And I'm like, I don't have any firewall, you know, I have nothing blocking it. It didn't make any sense. It made no sense whatsoever. And so I started kind of venturing out onto, you know, the internet and kind of wondering, like, do other people have this problem? And one of the girls in my group had mentioned that her game will not load on a Wi-Fi or on a mobile data signal. Like, she can only play on Wi-Fi or something. Or no, it was vice versa. She could only play on mobile data, but she could not play on Wi-Fi. And then I thought, well, maybe it must have something to do with her Wi-Fi settings isn't allowing her device. But that's not true, because it's allowing her device in general. And what would the game be blocking? It was so bizarre, right? And so I go to Geek Squad, right? And they're just beyond, like, stumped at this point. They're like, this doesn't make any sense. They're saying that at this point that the device is faulty, okay? So at this point, I just assumed that the device was bad, and, you know, when it was kind of your whole life and you play the game, it was a major, you know, kick to the nuts, considering that I had just dropped, like, I don't know, $300 on this stupid phone, and it didn't work, you know, and I'm thinking there's something wrong with the phone. And so I got a new phone. And I went out and I said, you know what? I'm done with LG. I'm totally done with them. Okay? And I go out and I buy a Moto G7 Power. Okay? And it was excellent. I never, ever had one issue with the Moto that I had on all my other devices, where I, like, okay, for instance, one of the technical issues a lot of you guys are experiencing, you can't type in chat when you're in another city or when you're on the war screen. One of my devices does that. Drives me crazy. Okay? This device does not do that. When you get Facebook pop-ups for bubbles, my other phone would drop it. I wouldn't be able to type anything. Like, my keyboard would drop down halfway through typing to the Sims, the chat in the Sims, and the bubble for the Facebook notification would completely disappear. This phone didn't do that. It allowed me to zoom out, like so. Everything was just 100% perfect with this device. And I thought, well, okay, you know what? It's got to be something to do with the LG operating system then. Because every LG device that I had ever used, and mind you, it was like 4 or 5 of them, had all of these same issues. And now I'm on a Moto, and I'm seeing, okay, wait a minute here. None of these issues are occurring, right? And so I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to stick to Motorola. So I had this device for, I don't know, like 2 years maybe, and everything was great. Well, I had dropped the phone on the right-hand corner. It didn't shatter the screen or anything, but the headphone jack was malfunctioning, and my speakers did not work at all. So, like, the ear speaker and the mouse speakers and things like that, the microphones, they sounded blown. Like, the tweeters were blown. And there was no using the device. I had to use headphones for everything. It drove me crazy, considering the headphone jack was slightly broken. So I'm like, you know what? I need to just buy a new phone. But I was kind of hesitant to do so, because I was like, you know what if that same thing happens? I drop money and the game doesn't work. And I thought, well, you know, I think it was an LG problem. I'm going to stick to Motorola, right? And everything will be fine. So I go out and I buy the Moto G8 stylus or whatever, the Moto stylus, the new one, and it's a badass phone. Okay, it is. It's got excellent picture. I mean, it's great. And I'm gonna tell you guys, I don't know if any of you guys remember me uploading videos showing everybody the technical issues that I was experiencing with this device. The moment that I would connect my city save, it would crash. And And it made no sense whatsoever, because you would think that the city save itself would have been corrupted, but it's not. So if I install the game on the phone, it works. If I install the game and I play through the tutorial, it works. If I install it and I play my city and I connect my city to it, it works until I close the game. Once I close the game and try to reboot it, it blinks and it does not work. If I don't connect my city and I use a different city, it works. So now I've narrowed it down to, okay, it just doesn't like my city. So that would indicate that there was something wrong or corrupted with the save. So somebody had told me to take 2 devices, open them up on my city at the same time, and try to save my city to the cloud. Like, initiate a for sure new save that says, okay, we're going to resave everything. So I do that. So several times I do that. Nope, didn't help. Okay. I'm like, you know what? If that were true, then that would mean that the save itself was corrupted, and it should do that on any device, but it doesn't. It doesn't do that on any of my other devices. So then people tell me, well, you know what? Try just disconnecting that city from every other device. And I'm like, way ahead of you, dude. I've already done that. I've wiped all my other devices. My city's not on any of them anymore. It's just saved, and there's nothing blocking it, nothing that should indicate that this would happen. So I pull out my old Stylo 3, and I pulled out my my Moto G7 phone, because like I said, it was just the speakers and the headphone jack that was broken. I reinstalled SimCity. I connected my city to it, and it loads, and it works, and it plays excellently. So if it had to do with the city save, why the hell is it working on a phone that has better specifications? So then people say, well, maybe the phone can't run it. Maybe it's not good enough. Are you kidding me right now? You just saw the game run, for one. For two, you can see here clearly that a Stylo 3 phone from 6 years ago is clearly way worse than something newer, okay? And then not to mention all these other devices that are much worse in specifications, and it's running it just fine. It has nothing to do with the phone not being able to run it. And here we are with the same operating system, okay? And it's not worth it. Like, there's no logic whatsoever that would indicate this to happen. I had taken screen recordings. I had documented everything. I contact EA with all this information, and I get an email back from them saying, have you tried restarting your device? Are you fucking kidding me right now? You just saw my email that was like 2 paragraphs long. And it wasn't a normal generated email, like just something that said to everybody, because there was some stuff in there that they had specifically typed that they would have to have typed if it was a real person for my case directly. You know, like I had explained a story that had happened with a friend, and they said, okay, I know your friend and this and that, blah, da, 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 like story. And it's like, dude, did you hear me? And so then they said, well, it would help if you would send us a video clip of what's happening. And so I'm like, dude, I sent you the video clip. Oh, yes, you did. I will review your attachment. Are you serious right now, dude? Like, come on, man. And then after reviewing everything, they're like, well, sorry, we can't help you. Contact the device the people for the device. And I'm like, dude, really? I can't just go out and buy a new device. I just dropped $400 on or $200 and something dollars on this phone, and it's not working. So why isn't it working? You know? You can't. My problem with this is you're not allowed to try the phone in the store and say, hey, before I buy this, can I play SimCity for 25 minutes or so just to be sure? And what's more frustrating about it is it doesn't do it all the time. So you could stand there, load the game, connect your save, close the game, and have it work. And that was what was super frustrating. So there was a point in time where I got it to, it loaded after I closed it the initial time. And it loaded like 3 times in a row, and I thought I had fixed it. And then on like the 4th time, it blinked, and it just kept blinking ever since. And I'm like, dude, are you serious right now? So I actually had to go out and trade. There was somebody on my phone plan, a friend of mine, had a Moto G7, like my previous phone. I gave him my new phone for free, and I took his phone. And I had to switch over. I load my city to his phone. And you know what? Not a damn problem since. Not one damn problem since. Why? I don't know. I can't explain it. It doesn't, trust me, man. If anybody out there has an answer, I need an answer. Because I'm telling you, and don't come at me with the restart the device crap, okay? Don't come at me with all those easy, you know, did you unplug it? Did you hold the button down? Did you hit the button crap? Okay, I'm talking, I need somebody who really knows their shit, like an actual expert that's going to come in and say, look, man, this ain't right. I've had Geek Squad look at this problem. 3 people at Geek Squad plus the supervisor. I stood there for 3 hours with them, and we contemplated anything it could possibly be, and not one of them could tell me what was going on. Not one of them. They were just as baffled as I was. And the only thing they could come up with was, oh, it's the device. And you know, what was frustrating, it's like, okay, but it's running and it's working for the other profile. So they're like, yep, you're right. So that doesn't make sense. It's like, exactly. Okay, then it has to do with your city save. And I'm like, but, and we went through this, and they're like, yep, you're right. It doesn't make sense. I'm like, so then make sense of it for me, please. And they're, we can't. It's like, so you're telling me I can go out and I can drop $400, $300, however much on a phone, and just be completely screwed. And not even know if you're going to be completely screwed, because it could work when you're standing there. You could close the game 3-4 times in a row, and then it'll just never open again. It's just, it's a nightmare, dude. I can't tell you how many times I uninstalled and reinstalled the game, and just, oh my god. Okay, so if you're experiencing that, I don't know how to help you. I don't. It sucks, but you gotta get a whole different device. And what's more frustrating is there's people out there with that device, and it works. Because had I wanted to restart a city and have a new city, I could have used that phone. But for whatever reason, I wasn't allowed to play my city on that phone. I'm allowed to play my city on other phones, but not that phone. And I was allowed to play my city on that phone when the device decided I was allowed to. Not all the time, but sometimes. And so it was super frustrating. I don't know how to fix that issue. I still am like hesitant to buy any kind of a new device because of that issue. It's not cool, because like I said, I mean, you want to go out and get a phone, but then you're sitting there going, did I just drop a ton of money and I'm going to be totally screwed. This game does a lot of really finicky things when it comes to technical difficulties. For instance, a lot of you guys, you may not have cars or lights on your game. A friend of mine, he, for whatever reason, you know, the loading of the schematics or something didn't go through, or I don't know what, but for whatever reason, his device, no matter what he did, it would not allow him to see cars or streetlights in the game. The next thing is, like I said, the chat bubble. So if you guys are experiencing the situation where you're not allowed to type, if you're not in your city, that is not supposed to happen. I would try reinstalling the game, but it likely will not fix the issue. In fact, I'm 99.9% sure it won't. You basically have to change the whole device. That's basically what it comes down to. On the Stylo 4 that I had purchased, there was an interesting thing about that, though. Though I was able to fix it temporarily with the Stylo 4 by changing the resolution setting and zooming it all the ways out. I was able to load my city 100% of the time. And it was super weird because that particular phone, for whatever reason, it was really based on display, and it allowed me somehow, I can't remember exactly how now because it's been so long, but it allowed me to change the resolution on that screen. And what it had done, though, was when I had opened the game, the chat was so far away, fuck, I needed a damn telescope to read the shit. I'm like, dude, there's no way I can play like this. And it was awesome for designing, you know, but it was, you could only zoom in so far, and like on the screen, like you could zoom in enough and it was okay, but the chat, you couldn't zoom in and out of the chat. So it was like, I had this really badass game over here on one sense, but then on the other sense, it's like, dude, I can't read anything anybody's saying because they're light years away from me, you know? And I got pretty good eyes, so it was like a major downfall. The other thing, you guys, that it's not supposed to happen is when you go to like the war screen, you're supposed to be able to type from there as well. Some people say that they don't have certain icons when they go to the war screen. That's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to have all your icons for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Like within reason, of course. It's really frustrating, I know, but another thing, you guys, and I don't know why this didn't occur to me before, but if you're playing on like a Kindle or whatever, you're not going through Google Play, right? So you're not getting the same ads that you would get normally. And when you guys cancel like assignments, it's going to make you wait the full 15 minutes because you don't have that feature to watch the video ads when you play on like a Kindle device. At least that's how it is for somebody in my group. And that's the only conclusion that I've come to, is that because she's not a Google Play person, it's not running the same type of ads, you know. There is several people out there that experience really bizarre technical difficulties. I've had really weird shit happen to my game. For instance, I've woke up missing buildings that were unable to be bulldozed. So they're only buildings that can be stored, but they're missing completely. And I had to explain that to SimCity at one point. They had reimbursed me money for it, but it's not something that I could purchase back. So it was super frustrating. There was several instances where my Eiffel Tower just disappeared. And I'm telling you, I didn't bulldoze it because I know, okay, something I just know I did not do. I did not bulldoze my Eiffel Tower. And it disappeared on many occasions. Items from your inventory. There's a couple of reasons why this can happen. So let's say that you're collecting items like, for instance, off of the factories here, like this. If you click too quickly, sometimes the game doesn't count them all. So you just be aware of that. Another thing that happens is, I had a girl tell me that she showed it to me. I couldn't even believe it. But she had to click the one, and it had to fully 100% hit her storage before she could collect another. Otherwise, it would not count them. So it was super annoying for her when she had tasks for like 57 metal or whatever. She would have to sit there, and it would take her 10 times longer than everybody else. She'd have to do that. And I'm like, dude, that shit would drive me crazy. I'm sorry. Hell no. I would not even be playing that game. There's a lot of little weird things that happen in SimCity. I think it's a conspiracy. You know, like, really, there's really weird things. Like, for instance, somebody in my comm training course, their husband had the monster task pop up 2 times in their list. Now, I've never seen that happen before, so I'm like, okay, did the game change? Are they all of a sudden like scrambling shit up again? But I haven't seen it since. Nobody had. And I look at a lot of lists every week. I'm going to tell you that right now, and I have not seen it since. But it was super weird. There's really weird things that happen. Sometimes they're fixable, sometimes they aren't. Sometimes they're explainable, sometimes they aren't. Changing the device, reinstalling, things like that. Changing the device is usually the way to fix almost every problem. If it's something that you've experienced all the time on that device. So typically what'll happen is, like, if your game loads the city at a specific resolution, it's not going to matter what city you connect to it. It's the device itself, right? So, for instance, my Stylo 3, the way that phone is set up is I can't type from the point where I leave a certain screen. And it doesn't matter what city I load to it, it's always going to be like that. So, I mean, you can pick up some decent devices for actually fairly cheap, some prepaid phones or whatever, you know, if you have feeder cities or something, and try to kind of mess with it and see if you can get something to work out for you. But essentially, if you have an issue where the phone is not working, and it's similar to the story that I have, if you find a solution, tell me, because I tried literally everything. I went to the edge of the internet to find answers. Couldn't find anything. Guaranteed, if you do comment below, it's something I've tried, but I'm always open to suggestions, because, you know, it's not like this problem went away. You know, it's still very much a problem. It's just I'm not using that device anymore, you know, so I don't talk about it as much. But I mean, if I was to buy another device, I would definitely be extremely worried that it would work. You know, and the fact that it worked on other cities and all, it was super annoying. Anyways, you guys, if you're experiencing any of these technical difficulties, do the best you can to kind of get through them. The saves, the way that the saves work, it's really annoying, but it's doable. You can have multiple things on your Facebook. You know, you can have multiple Facebooks on your device and still play the game. But I'm going to tell you, you know, I even went into like the app for Facebook where you save your game stuff, and there was no way to like remove it. I'm sure maybe some high-end hacker might be able to go in and somehow clear that save from the Facebook storage somewhere, and maybe make it think like, hey, this city's never been saved to this Facebook, like there's no memory of it, because essentially it's just a save file that's basically stuck in your Facebook, right? But according to SimCity, you're not able to, you know, overwrite that. So good luck. It's, to me, it seems really annoying and unnecessary of a feature to be set up this way. In my opinion, what they should do to make it easier on everybody is just have kind of like what you do with, let's say, Blizzard, how they have a Battle.net account for like Diablo. It would control hacking so much better. They could control like your account, like if you've been reported for, I don't know, being a shang and annoying people, they could suspend your account for 2 weeks or whatever. They should allow you to block people that join your group, you know, block their player ID. Everybody has a player ID. Maybe have it to where you can have 3 different cities or something on that account, or unlimited or whatever, so that they can kind of contain it. And what would be really nice is if they allowed us to friend each other within the game, because SimCity is a very social game, and it has the social features are terrible. It doesn't show you when the person's online. It doesn't allow you to have a friends list within the game. You know, it has to be done through Facebook, which is super annoying. The way that you save is just stupid and really annoying, because you have to, oh, I have Apple, oh, I have this. Oh, it's like, why not just give us an account with EA, and then we can save through our account, and that way if we have any issues, everything goes through our account, you know. But and then you can load maybe your money up, your transactions, things like that, to this account, and give everybody profiles, maybe a profile picture or even an avatar or something, you know. Fuck, you know how much money they could make off just that? Just selling little frames for avatars? I mean, they are not very intelligent over there at EA. I'm going to tell you that right now. If this was my game, I would be balling. You best believe that. And they're already balling. And I'd be balling, okay? I'd be like, ooh, I know what these people want. You know, I'm going to drop some badass casinos, stick a $4 price tag. You know you're going to pay for it. You know what I mean? If you're paying for this garbage, you're damn skippy, you're going to be paying for something else. You know what I mean? all they have to do is put out the littlest effort, the littlest bit of effort, and make this game that much better, you know? People are already addicted to it. They're already stuck on this stupid game. Now take the features that drive everybody to want to throw the phone over the edge of the cliff, and if you fix that, man, them people, I swear, they don't know. They don't know. You know what I mean? Like, they do not know how much money they could be making off of this game. And to think that they're already making millions, you know? It's just, I don't get it. I just don't get it, you know? People get frustrated with the hacking and things like that, and they just give up. You know, they're just, fuck this game, you know? Or they get so annoyed with the way, like, how many of you are sitting there right now pissed off because you've spent months playing a city and now it's garbage because you can't even log in? I mean, who wants to put up with shit like that, you know? So anybody here who is fed up with EA, dude, they're not going to change until you guys start complaining. They're not. And complaining on a Facebook post is not good enough. You've got to click this button here, you know, and hit help, and then hit, you know, report player, contact us, you know, that kind of stuff. Hit contact us, and I'm telling you guys, man, it'll work, okay? If you go there and you start complaining, if everybody starts complaining and requesting stuff like profiles, you know, better city options, better buildings, better pass stuff, like better coverage for hackers, just everything. Just start complaining that you want better content. And I'm telling you, eventually they're going to get that hard hat, they're going to get a headache under that hard hat, and they're going to be like, damn, these people won't shut up. And they're going to start changing their ways, because this is some bullshit. It really is. The stuff that we have been putting up with for 6 years is bullshit. Especially since for the last couple of years, you know, for the first 5 years or 4 years of the game, it was all free. Like the pass and stuff, there was no pass. It was like you signed up for the contest of mayors, you worked your way up the leaderboard, and you got the buildings. It was all free unless you decided to spend money. Now they've got their hand out for the VU pass and for the mayor's pass. So if you want any content, it's like, pay us. And the content's worse than when it was free. It's like, dude, if you want us to pay, you gotta put forth some better content here, because this is bullshit. It really is. It's basically making it to where people that would normally play legitimately are wanting to hack simply for the fact that they just don't even want to pay for this stuff anymore. Or because they want to have a cool looking city, and the only way to do that is to hack, because they have no way of obtaining anything cool anymore, because all the new stuff is garbage. I mean, those hot air balloons with the hearts, the pink cherry blossom trees, the pandas, the cheetahs, I mean, there's so much stuff that they had previous to this that a lot of people either don't see because the people that actually obtain them don't play anymore, or they just don't place it out, you know, like nobody has it. So you start looking at what's out there on global, like the cities and stuff, and I'm going to tell you guys, man, I've been collecting screenshots of just cool ideas and badass city designs, and so far the folder is pretty empty. There's really nothing worthy of screenshotting. It's that bad out there. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that nobody has anything to put out to make a cool city. So, I mean, you don't make a city building game and then take all of the designing and the building features and throw them in the garbage and make it all about chasing items. Items that are, in a sense, pointless to chase. You can chase storage all day long. And at the end of the day, once you max out your storage, what was the point in the game itself? The game itself, why were you chasing storage to begin with, is my point. It was so that you could hold items. For what, though? Yeah, there was a bigger goal there, but you lost sight of that because you were so busy chasing the storage that you forgot why you were chasing it. you know, like why you needed to be able to hold all these items. And it's super frustrating that they have allowed this game to go from what could be a really cool city design and badass building game to just a money-hungry, I don't even know what, just item chaser. You know, like, you're not even, half the shit in these mayor's passes it's a disgrace. Like, of course it's worth the $4.99 because, I mean, look at, but half this crap you don't even use. Once you've maxed out storage and land, you can give it to players, you know, other players, but, I mean, you gotta work for it too. It's not like you paid and got it. You paid and you gotta work for it. And then think about all the people that drop money each week to just play the contest. So they have cash to do their assignments on time. Do you know how many high-level players drop money weekly just to play comp? Like $10 a week or $20 a week? They don't like to admit it, but they do it. You know how many people pay for those stupid piggy banks just to finish one stupid assignment for the contest? So at the end of the week, they could be in 19th place every week. Why? I don't know, but they do it. And then they say, well, I want to unlock the pass. You can unlock the pass and play casually. You could, if you look at it this way, you could save your tokens, play non-competitively, still benefit from the pass, and have all your time each week, and keep your money that you spend. But instead, you spend money, you work your ass off all week, you lose the contest to mayors anyways, and you unlock the pass. And then you burn through all your tokens, and you're broke all the time because you're constantly making stuff that you can't afford to make. You're not able to make things that actually turn a profit because you're making things for the contest. So high-level players, it's really not beneficial for them to play the contest. But you know what? They do it because they're competitive. And each week they lose, and they keep paying. And SimCity, somebody over at SimCity's got their feet up on a desk going cha-ching. What he doesn't know is he could be, like, rolling in the dough even more than he is now, you know? I mean, at least please the people. Give them a little something, you know? Throw us a bone, why don't you? Alright, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded. Hopefully it helped you guys with some of your technical difficulties. You know, you can always reach out to EA and complain to them. The best thing that you can do is just, I don't know, man. The best thing you can do is complain to them, even if you don't think it'll do any good. Like, in terms of getting a solution to your problem, I mean. That way, they start fixing the problem, for the greater good, you know what I mean? Like, it might not fix your problem directly, but maybe it will give them more incentive to fix their game, because this is a little bit ridiculous. And like I said, make sure to include anything in there that you think should be changed. And please don't say, allow a search feature on global. Okay, really think about that for a minute and think about how that would ruin the game. It would absolutely destroy the game. They're never going to put a search feature on global. If they did that, the game would be garbage. So, you know, really think about the changes that you think should be made to the game before you make suggestions, okay? Alright. I will, well, you know what? I will probably see you guys on a live stream this morning.